This is Valerie Van Booven with the Senior Care Industry Netcast, where leaders with 3 or more years in senior care industry share their advice. It's just a few questions in just a few minutes. We try to keep it short. So with that, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi, Valerie. My name is DeAnne Clune, and I'm a senior living marketer. I've been in the business for 21 years now and got my start at Leisure Care. I've always worked in a multi-site capacity for companies like Leisure Care, Merrill Gardens, Transforming Age. And then most recently, I've been a consultant in the industry and now have the dual role of being managing director of Seniors Better Together, which is a newly formed marketing co-op of unaffiliated communities.
Wow. Well, tell us a little bit more about Seniors Better Together, because I know we have other questions, but people are going to want to know more about what that means.
Oh my gosh, yes. Well, I'm so excited because it's really a grassroots effort, and it came about in discussions with community marketers all over. I'm based in Washington State, so spoke to a lot of folks there, and basically listened to everyone's common challenge of the pandemic, right? What can we do to market? Our budgets have been cut, our occupancy is going down, we still have goals to meet, and everyone has just really, for the first time ever, is in the same boat. So we started having conversations about, well, what could we collaborate on? What can we do together industry-wide? And so came up with this marketing co-op idea. And Seniors Better Together was formed, and it is also the name of the campaign. So we have a consumer campaign ready to go. And we really hope it becomes a movement among senior living communities across the country who, if unified, can really make an impact on our current situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have all learned a whole lot in the last 8 months, or maybe it's almost been more than 8 months. Well, maybe we're right at the end of 8 months. It seems like it's been like 5 years, right?
Right.
So we've all learned a lot. Marketing has been a huge challenge for everybody, especially those of us who rely on those face-to-face meetings with families and seniors and with our peers and other folks in the industry. We just can't do that right now. Not very well, or not very much. And we're going with these waves of, it gets better, it gets worse, it gets better, it gets worse. So a vaccine can't come fast enough, or whatever it is that makes this
right. Well, and I have to say, I think by and large, communities in general have done a great job of keeping residents safe. Yeah. That has been, a bit of a bright spot, but now it's time to maneuver out of that situation, and how do we continue business in this situation? And, like you said, vaccine hopefully will be a game changer and can't come too soon, but, really thinking about what we can do in the moment and what we can do when the kind of sun comes up again for our customers.
Yeah, and truly, this may not be the last time that we see something like this. It probably won't be. So whatever we can learn now and whatever we can do to know that moving forward in our lives and in our professional lives and in our marketing lives, that there's always this possibility. And there's always a time that we may need to come together more or better or in a different way. Than we learn all we can right now. Yeah. So awesome. So I'm so glad you put this together, and we'll make sure there's some information about that with your videos so that people can learn more and participate or reach out to you or however they want to do that.
Wonderful.
All right. Well, tell me, what is the best thing about serving aging adults and their families?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think like a lot of people, I feel like it's a calling, right? It's a passion. And I discovered it when I was going to college at Oregon State. And I got a summer job as a CNA at, in Oregon, they called it residential care at the time. And there was also a nursing component. And I really wanted to stay in Corvallis for the summer. And, so I was looking for a job and I thought, sure, why not? And I just developed such a love of working with older adults and, what the privilege it is to be serving them in this chapter of their lives. And, really, I think I was influenced too by growing up with so many older adults in my life. I have known all my grandparents well into my 40s. My
Nice.
first, yeah. So I mean, how lucky can you get? And then 6 of my great grandparents I had really close relationships with. So,
Nice.
in fact, Zola Consulting, which is my marketing consulting firm, is named with a mashup of 2 of my great grandmothers. It's called Zola, but it's from Zora and Lola. So I put them together to create the name.
Very nice. That's very nice. Yeah, it sounds like you have a lot of good health and some longevity in there. So that speaks well for you.
Hopefully some good genes, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. Yeah. And so let's talk about other organizations, leaders, mentors, maybe your grandparents or your great grandparents. Who is it that you would like to tell us about that means a lot to you in your career?
There have been so many people along the way in my career journey. And, I was thinking about this, and there's 4 women that stand out. They don't know that I'm going to say this, so it'll come as a surprise. But people that I really consider my mentors who have had really amazing careers themselves. And, I don't know that they set out to be my mentor, but they served in that capacity for me. And one of them is Tana Gall. You might know her from, she's at Merrill Gardens now. And then Brenda Chambers is another COO that I've worked with in the past. And then Barbara Bowman was another operations partner. She's retired a few years ago. And then Bonnie Bryan Caldwell, who is a nurse, and she taught me early on. It was like the school of Bonnie, everything about assisted living, memory care, skilled nursing, the differentiating points. And so they've all been really instrumental for me. Then just on an ongoing basis, all the community marketers that I've ever worked with, I'm so inspired by all of them. I mean, the jobs that they do, and really all the community teams, all the workers there who, I don't think you can do this job if you don't have a love of seniors, and, who really work to do the right thing every day and do what's best for the residents in their care. And that's just been really meaningful for me.
Very inspirational to see that in action every day as you're marketing and doing your own job. And those ladies that you mentioned, there's always, if we come this far and we're still doing what we love and it still makes us feel good, there's almost always a few people in our lives or organizations that definitely stand out to us, may have made a difference in our lives. There's so many moving parts and pieces to this whole senior care thing. So learning from really smart individuals who have been around the block for a while. I mean, there's no schooling can replace that.
No, that is so true. I learned so much more, in life, in doing the job than I did in school, right?
Absolutely. Well, let's talk a little bit about online marketing, because obviously we're in a position where that's become pretty important, but I know it can be ever changing. I know it's ever changing and it can be confusing. So what do you do, and what's your take on online marketing to get the word out about your services?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, this again, over 21 years, things have changed a bit. I mean, you may recall Yellow Pages was it, right? Like you had to be in the Yellow Pages, and there was no ifs, ands, or buts. And companies I worked with spent, hundreds of thousands of dollars on Yellow Pages ads. And then this thing called the internet comes along, and evolution every day. And so I think I saw, recently in recent years, how companies have kind of moved to this, oh, we'll hire a digital marketer, we'll put them on staff. I don't know that, I mean, that might be good for some situations, but I don't know that I follow that school of thought, because I think if you have a consultant, an agency, a firm who specializes in digital marketing, that you're really going to be able to maneuver the situation in a strategic way that's best for your company. You usually have a collective group, who are very experienced, can offer great advice and help us get through that. So I've kind of chosen myself to be like, just kind of know enough to get by, like understand the terminology and, what the importance of it is, but rely on experts to really guide the specifics on it.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think if you do, I would say from my perspective, if you hire somebody internally, they should be somebody who is it's hard to find that person, but somebody who is web savvy and who is also experienced in the senior care market. Because I would say hiring somebody directly out of college who is really web savvy is not a hugely bad choice, but if they haven't had some life behind them and
Right.
they haven't known this whole animal of the senior care market, and whether a family's trying to decide on assisted living or independent living or home care. Those are such emotional decisions, and they're such financially overwhelming decisions a lot of times, that if you kind of don't understand what that's like, it's hard to have a good sense of how to market to our adult children and to the seniors both. It's a little bit of a combination of things for marketing. So yeah, I'd say if you hire somebody internally, it's okay, but you got to find that interesting mix of someone who knows what they're doing, but also has a little experience in the marketplace, or at least a little life experience. And then if you hire a firm that specializes in it, which of course that would be our forte, we would rather see, and it doesn't matter to me who people go to, but I would say my cautionary tale is that if you pick somebody who does roofers, plumbers, restaurants, and and
Right.
then throws you in the mix, it's kind of putting, a square peg in a round hole, because it's just not the same. You're not the same as lawyers. You're not the same as roofers. This isn't ordering a pizza online. This is a huge life change for everybody involved. And it takes a lot of thought process and knowledge to be able to market correctly without being, I guess, too quick on the draw, or whatever you want to call it. So
It does, and it is a unique sector. I mean, it's not even like hospitality. You have some influences of hospitality. You have some influences of healthcare. You have some influences of food service and housing and real estate. So there's a lot of different influences. But yes, I think you're absolutely right that if someone does hire someone in-house, that it's not just like, oh, we'll find a millennial and put him in the job,
Yeah.
Well, I love millennials, don't get me wrong,
Right.
but that just because some of our leadership doesn't understand it, they kind of, can regretfully decide, oh, we'll just get this person and they know, and set it and forget it kind of thing.
Yeah, I even think that goes as far as even answering the phones.
Yeah.
I know that sounds weird, but to me, whoever answers the phone at whatever place you work at is that first line of marketing. And I'm a fast talker. So my mom always used to say to me, you talk like you're you're in the McDonald's drive-through lady, you're I'm always, so but I realize that now that I'm old. And so if for someone that's has a little bit more maturity, answers the phone and knows that the call on the other end could be potentially someone who's really struggling because they need to make some decisions pretty quick. I think that person is going to be a better answer of the phone than the person that says, "How to tell you?" And no, you're like, "What? Who?
The,
Hold on a second." You know,
the sensitivity involved in that.
yes, yes.
And
Just the first, yeah.
I have always told people that I work with, think about what happened in that person's life before they finally picked up that phone and made a
Oh my
call.
gosh, it's been a
It could
really
have been years in the making, right? So you got to make it
years,
count.
or somebody fell and broke their hip 3 days ago and they're being discharged tomorrow, and this is a huge shock. Whatever it is never the happiest. I mean, it's not the saddest phone call ever either. It's just not the, yeah, this is the light of my life. I'm so glad I'm calling you right now. I mean, this
Right.
is a decision time. And so from the moment somebody answers the phone or the moment they hit your website, being aware of that is really important. So
So true.
anyway, I'll get off my soapbox on that.
I like your soapbox.
A little old people answering the phone is excellent in this case. All
Yeah.
right, so and I mean old people like me. So
And me.
yeah, well, and so all right, so what piece of advice would you give to other senior care providers?
Mhm. I think the most important thing I would say to anybody is to think like your customer. When it comes to marketing, you really need to think like your customer. And the customers of today are the residents of tomorrow. And we have to listen better and not only hear the input we're receiving from people, but take action from it. So to me, like in the sales process, or even, just someone inquiring, the types of questions they ask are very telling. The types of obstacles they bring up to, to take issue with this idea of moving somewhere are all really telling things that give us as sales and marketing folk an opportunity to address those in a better way. How long have we been saying the age wave, the next generation, the baby boomers? Well, it's not coming, it's happening, they're here, and it's different. And so this kind of thinking of, well, this is what we do, this is our box, and this is our list of services, and this is our package, and people can buy it or not, is not necessarily a really, good long-term strategy. So I think perpetual evolution, innovation, transformation in programs, services, packages, amenities, features in the living space, all of that, just like every other successful business, it has to go on.
Yeah.
So.
Evolve with they're in our silent generation and our baby boomers. They're telling us what they want. They're telling us what, and within reason, I think that it's a great idea, like you just said, to try to fulfill those expectations. Because if as long as it's not impossible, to make sure that your packages and your rooms and your things that you're offering do evolve, and they have, and you see. I mean, even just food service today is so much different than it used to be. And family dining, I know that right now we're in a weird spot, but being able to dine as sort of more in a family-like setting in some situations is so much better. And the way we deal with dementia so it has evolved a lot, but you're right. Listening, and if you get the same request over and over again, or the same questions, then maybe it's time to think about those services. You're right. Absolutely. Yeah. Continue to evolve.
And I think in light of the pandemic, it's, there's been a lot of heartache and hardship, of course. But we would be remiss to think that this is not a golden opportunity to hit the reset button
Yes.
and really get creative in our approach to literally every aspect of the business.
Yes, I totally agree. I think a lot of us have realized very quickly that there were some things that we are forced to do better now, or forced to do a little differently now, and that's not a bad thing. But it it took us a long time to get to it. It took something like this. So, but I think overall, I would agree. I think facilities, communities are doing the very best they can. They are doing a really good job of keeping people entertained, of not spreading disease, and you're going to have outliers here and there, but I think that the ones that are doing a really good job should be commended. It's not all doom and gloom everywhere. Definitely people who are working in this kind of environment and keeping the seniors safe, they're definitely heroes. They continue to be every day, trying to keep them from getting sick or sicker.
Yes, and as you know, I mean, the media is the media, and stories that are sensational are more, garner the headlines. So, there's not a lot of, development, not a lot of cultivation of happy, good news stories. And that is a huge part of what our approach is with Seniors Better Together too, because from the PR aspect, or again, the collaborative, cooperative nature of it, just through our PR efforts and social media, it's a bigger megaphone than any single company or community can create on their own. Right. And we're focused a lot on peer-to-peer communications. Again, we're trying to reach the senior consumer. And so to hear from other people like them, who have made the decision or had a situation that caused them to move into a community during the pandemic, and to hear the overwhelming appreciation and gratitude and just the collective sigh of relief that they made this decision when they did, and that they want others to know how great it really is. We just need to tell more of those stories any way we can.
Yeah, I think the stories that I love the most too, even pandemic or no pandemic, I wish more seniors could hear or see or watch a video how many seniors who have made the transition into assisted living or into an independent retirement community say, I wish I had done this 20 years ago. I wish I had done this 10 years ago. If we could record every time or get a testimonial on video every time somebody said that and use it, you'd have thousands and thousands and thousands of seniors saying, I love it here and I wish I'd done this 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago.
You know what, Valerie? Day one on the job, I heard that. We were opening in a community and I was showing people around, and absolutely, it's just that day and every day since I've heard it. If you could even have a penny for every time you heard it, we'd have a pretty good piggy bank going on.
Yeah, it is. I know people think, oh, well, I'm different, I won't like it. But it is really it's such a good community setting, and people really do enjoy that camaraderie of people their own age. It is amazing how much better life can be when you're not isolated in a home setting by yourself, and when you do have access to others that enjoy the same things that you do. It's just a different world.
Absolutely.
Yep. So when you have a win in life or business, how do you like to celebrate? So we're in a weird place, but everybody celebrates sometimes. So how do you like to celebrate?
Well, I'm a party girl, so if the pandemic has really dampened my party ability, because I love to get all the players together that helped create the win. Mm-hmm. And have great food and drink and camaraderie with the team, and that's really my number one favorite way. Since we've been sort of locked down for a while, we've got Zoom parties, which we're doing the best we can with that. And, I do have a small group of people in my pod, so to speak, that we're all getting, so we might these days crack a bottle of wine or something like that. And if all else fails, if none of those are available, I have been known to bust a move in my living room.
That's good. That's good. We've had answers that have been all over the map on this, and I think that's great. And the word pod has become a much more frequently used word. My husband even said it the other day. He said, well, these are the guys in my pod. And I was like, how do you know what a pod is? But wanted to go visit, they're in my pod. Okay, you go right ahead. Just stay away from them. Don't get near them, but you can visit with them. So anyway, yeah, pod is definitely a term we will long be with at this point.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're finding ways to celebrate whenever you can, and all of us need to do that when we have a moment to thank, to thank our lucky stars or whoever we want to thank for being blessed with good business and for helping others. So
absolutely. I love
so
that.
thank you. Yeah, thank you for doing this. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us, for sharing Seniors Better Together with us, and for all of your wisdom and advice. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Valerie. It's great to be here.